Great. Hello, how are you everybody? Welcome to Young Artist Club, and this is our first virtual meeting. I hope you have had a good day, and here I am in my kitchen here, living room here. So I'm on the dining table here, or at the dining table. I'm not on the dining table. No Daisy. She is busy doing something upstairs, but hopefully she'll be down in a little while and she's going to help us out with our session this afternoon. Today we are looking at artist Simon Kenny. And Simon Kenny is a contemporary artist, which means he's working at the moment. He's a British artist, and I love his use of colour. So he is our king of colour today. So Simon Kenny is an abstract expressionist, and his paintings have a vibrant and ethereal quality. They're kind of like heavenly skies, or even like subatomic visions. He comes up with the most brilliant titles for them too, like Perpetual Light, The Night, Blaze, Rise Up, From the Night, Then Came the Day, Boundless, A Dance with Light, The Great Expanse. Okay, here's what you're going to need for this session. You're going to need 1 or 2 paintbrushes. I did include one in your pack, but if you've got a nice brush, a favourite brush, do use that. You don't want it too floppy, because you want it to pick up your paint, watercolours, and you don't want it too big either, because the watercolour paints are actually quite small. So 2 paintbrushes. You'll need a cup of water, not to drink. This is to rinse your brushes, and you will need some watercolour paint. So if you've got your own set, of course use those. If you want to use the ones that I brought you, your 2 little contrasting paint sets. I always work on a piece of paper at my house, so that the table doesn't get too grubby. So just an old scrappy bit of paper or magazine, anything that you don't mind working on. Oh, and this, I've actually already used mine today, but this is just a bit of tissue, just so you can just control how much paint and water is on your paintbrush and sort of test things out. Okay, and what else do we need? Oh yeah, this is a random one. Do you know what this is? Oh, this looks a bit grubby. This is our salt cellar. So this is salt. So if you've got a salt cruncher, get your salt cruncher. If you've just got salt, like, you know, a little packet of salt, like small grains, that's absolutely fine as well. So that's a bit random, isn't it? But you need a little bit of salt. And the last thing you're going to need are your 2 bits of watercolour paper. That's the paper we're going to use today. Good, so I think that's everything you need. So let's get cracking. Okay, so I hope you've put some nice ethereal chill out music on just to set the scene, and then you want to get your paintbrush wet and just make a patch somewhere on your paper that's wet. So use your brush at the end of the handle, and this way your marks will be nice and loose. You don't want anything too neat or too tight, so you need it quite nice and loose. So then you start to need to make up your paint. It's going to be very dry when you first start, so use plenty of water and take your time to make sure you've got nice creamy thick amount of paint. So look, I've got not much control at all. I've put paint on the table there. Oops, never mind. But yeah, make sure you've got lots of creamy paint. Take your time with that bit, and then move over to your water, and then just add it to where you've put the water, and you can start to see how the paint just runs and pools, and it's quite satisfying. So I've got it very loosely held. Don't want anything too neat at the moment. I'm just making a patch of blue, just adding little dots where I've already put the water. So we call this wet on wet, that's called. So then I'm going to change colour. So I'm just wiping my brush a little bit, adding a bit of water, and then choosing a nice crimson red here. And again, working that paint up so it's lovely and creamy. Take your time with this bit. Honestly, it's so worth it. Don't hurry that bit because the paints are often very dry. Just check on your tissue that you've got a nice rich colour. Then I'm going to add some just randomly, just as the music is telling me to do. And I'm just quite interested to see what happens here as the blue and the red meet. And it's quite wet there, so you can start to see it bleeding, the colours bleeding into one another, and that's kind of what you want. There's a great deal of random chance with this, so no two pictures will look the same. And we're just experimenting here. So look, I'm just adding a very watery red there, and then I'm going to add some more paint, just see what happens. And sometimes it flows really nicely. Just dab, 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 get more paint. Can leave little patches of white as well. Oh, I like the way it's gone kind of purpley there because we've got the blue and the red, and when they mix they get that nice purple. I'm going to add a bit more. So there's no right way or wrong way to do this. You just want plenty of water and plenty of creamy paint. If you're not getting a good mix, try going back to your palette and adding some more paint. Now I'm just going to go around the edge here. So it's already very wet. I'm just adding some blue. Oh, that's quite satisfying. Just let that run down. That's run all the way to meet that, and you can see it blending in with the red. So this is all about just chance movement of paint, really, and your picture will start to build up. You can start to expand the watery colour. Take a little look away from it. See what you want to add next. Adding some orange now. So this is quite a watery area, and a very watery orange. So I'm just going to add a big patch here. Not going quite to the blue, but you can see it wants to, and that's just gorgeous. I love the way that that is starting to reach each other. Just take a moment and just observe what happens as the paint wants to meet and how it flows, and that's how your picture will come. So you're not really planning it as such, you're just giving it a chance to develop. Just adding some water to the edge of that orange just to start to make it bleed out and go quite faint towards the edges. Just carry on until your whole page is full. When you get quite far on with your picture, why not put a crunch of salt or sprinkle some table salt onto some of the patches of colour and see what happens. You'll notice that the salt will suck up the water, and when it's dry you should get a nice sort of crackled effect. You can still add paint after you've added the salt. In fact, you can go back even when it's dry and add a bit more paint and start layering it up, just as I'm doing here. So I hope you enjoyed doing that. Did you crunch some salt on? And did you listen to some nice ethereal music? I really did just love watching how the paint just merges in, and oh, it's just gorgeous. So let them dry. So use both bits of paper, maybe do two different ones, see what happens. So this one has now dried, and I really like how this one looks. I'll show you a close-up of it, but I'm going to call this one, same as Simon Kenny, he has one that's called Jealous Skies, and I think my one looks like Jealous Skies. But I didn't decide that till afterwards, but I think it looks quite dramatic, doesn't it? Some extra black to that a little bit later, so you can go back and add some colour if you want to, you know, just so it doesn't all, what you don't want to happen is for it all to sort of bleed into each other. You need to keep some colours quite separate. You can see all the colours there, and some white. You can leave some white as well, it looks quite cool. So there's Jealous Skies. And then my other one, which has still got some salt on it, I quite like the salt on it because it looks quite sparkly. You can brush the salt off if you want to. I like this one, and I did have an idea about what this one's called. I think this one is called, oh that's right, Deeply Moving Dreams. I quite like that one. Shadowy figure coming out of here, and all these, I don't know, it just looks quite dreamy to me. And with the little bits of salt on it, it looks a little bit sort of starry as well, a little bit kind of galaxy-like. So just like to think of that as a little bit like dreams. Anyway, that's just two of mine. Have a go and enjoy how the paint dances, and I'll put the list of titles from some of Simon's paintings up, and that might inspire you if you can't decide what to call yours, but I think you'll come up with some really good names because you're brilliant. Will you show me what you do? Get your grown-up to post a pic on the email, the group email, and tell me if you wouldn't mind me sharing that with the rest of you, because it would be really nice to see what each other do. And yeah, good luck. And I'm sure I might talk to you or be texting some of you during this time anyway, but I'd be so pleased if you have a go with Simon Kenny, who is our King of Colour this week. See you next time. Bye-bye.